think we've all seen a movie like this. A young and conventionally attractive woman is down on her luck and just got her first apartment away from her abusive ex-husband when she comes across a mirror that would look absolutely perfect in her new entryway, and it's for a steal. So she buys it, and the girl at the counter tells her about the last owner and how she mysteriously died, and they both joke that the mirror is cursed. Well, time goes on and more bad things start to happen. It was when she slipped and fell with the roast straight from the oven that she begins to wonder if that mirror is actually cursed and throws it away. But with cursed objects, that doesn't always work. It finds its way back, and the rest of the movie is just trying to get rid of it. It makes you wonder, are cursed objects real? And can they kill you?
Welcome to Tales from the Graves, where shadows lurk and whispers echo.
Join us as we delve into the unknown, exploring tales of mystery, horror, and the supernatural.
Be prepared to journey into the darkness, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Jess.
Together, we're the Grave Sisters, and we'll be your guides as we unearth the strange and unusual.
So find your flashlight, grab your shovel, and let's dig in.
The following podcast is rated for mature audiences.
It may contain graphic scenes of violence and explicit language that some may find disturbing.
Listener discretion is advised. Hey Gravediggers, welcome to another juicy episode of TFTG. We're in our mid-20s now, episode 25.
Oh,
and
I was like, girl, you know we're not in our mid-20s, we're in our mid-30s.
Yeah, we are.
My bad. The podcast itself. Okay,
yeah.
My bad.
The season's just getting started. So there are a ton of movies based on cursed objects. And I wanted to go into some of those cursed objects today.
Okay.
Yeah. This is probably going to turn into like a series of cursed objects. And today it's Hello, Dolly. Because we're going over two very famous cursed dolls.
Oh, I think I know which ones you're talking about, but I'd rather you tell me.
Oh, for once. For once, we're not going to ruin it.
I'm not going to ruin it for the Gravediggers this time.
No, she does that all the time. All the time!
That's what big sisters do.
Yeah, sure, whatever. So, up first is probably going to be our most well-known, a doll named Annabelle. Yeah, just imagine like some wind blowing in the distance, all of a sudden it gets quicker, and then, yeah. Alright, now in the movies, Annabelle is a creepy, large porcelain doll with like a fabric body and stuff. But, as I've mentioned, and I think maybe you've mentioned,
in my Warren's episode.
Yeah, in your Warren's episode, Annabelle is actually a Raggedy Ann doll. So they hyped it up, they took creative liberties with Annabelle for the movies, and now in the Conjuring universe, that story, like Annabelle, then like Annabelle's origins or whatever.
Oh gosh,
I don't even remember what
Annabelle is now a staple of the Conjuring universe, basically.
Well, her story is completely fabricated. Like the beginning where you see the two young women talking, that part is true.
Yeah.
But everything else, no. So those origins, like what happened to the married couple and all of that, the little girl at the orphanage, I think that was what, the origins or whatever.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to get an actual look at the story of Annabelle and then a couple cases of like what happened after the Warrens took possession.
Possession, I like your use of wording there.
You welcome. So the real life Annabelle the story itself kind of begins in like the 1970s, where a 28-year-old nurse was gifted this Raggedy Ann doll as a birthday present from her mother. Now, the stories that I've heard about this is the mother found the doll just at like a thrift store.
I was about to say either like a thrift store, like a yard sale or something.
Yeah, it was at like a thrift store or a flea market or something. It wasn't anything like clandestine or anything like that. Yeah. Okay. She put this doll on her bed and then started to notice that it began to like change positions. The legs would be crossed, or, you know, it would be laying on its side when previously she had it sitting up. The next thing that began to happen was the roommate began to find messages on the floor. I think they were even written in like red crayon, maybe.
Yeah, I remember like, a crayon.
Yeah,
or
I
lipstick
heard
or,
that part.
Pretty sure it's like crayon.
But the message, like, on them would usually be like, help me or help us. And then it's also worth to note that these notes were on parchment paper, which the two girls didn't have anywhere in their apartment. Like, they had notebook paper probably, but this is like parchment paper.
Like old school, like...
Yeah, kind of like old school, you know.
Like a scroll.
Oh, scroll. Now, after these notes began, they found that things just started, like, escalating a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah. The doll began showing up in different rooms, and supposedly, at one point, is said to have appeared to be leaking blood.
What?
Yeah. Like, there wasn't a whole lot on the whole leaking blood bit, but, it was supposedly leaking blood.
Okay.
Yeah. Alright, so it's leaking blood, moving around the apartment, little notes are being found. Logically, they're like, oh, that can't happen, you know? And so they just didn't really think anything of it at first. And you know, those good times with this doll, they just keep on rolling. Because one day, a male friend, like that's what the story says, a male friend, but... Some dude. I actually think it was one of the girl's boyfriends. Was taking a nap over at their apartment and woke up with the doll staring at him. And he supposedly felt like he was being strangled. There were apparently deep scratch wounds on his upper body after this incident. Now, this is one version of the story. Another version of this same, I guess, incident is that he got up from a nap and went and found the doll, and then those scratches appeared on him. So that's, you know, a little bit of a different tale, you know. So there's that. Something a rational person would do is assume that someone was messing with them. And that's what I said they thought.
Yeah.
You know, someone was like breaking in or coming in, because the girls typically left their doors unlocked because it's the 70s.
Daniel LaPlante.
LaPlante.
LaPlante. Yeah, that guy. I'm just kidding.
LaPlante. Yeah, whatever. Screw him. But they eventually ruled that out as a possibility because they started, you know, checking other things. Nothing was being taken. Nothing was happening like that. Now, according to the Occult Museum website, the two girls, not knowing where to turn, they contacted a medium and a seance was held.
Hey, I would do it.
You'd do a fucking seance for a damn doll.
Well, if the doll was fucking with me, I might consider it. Well,
I remember...
I would be more apt to do a seance if there were lots of, like, voices and talking to me and poltergeist activity. I'd be more apt to do one for that.
Yeah, I remember when we were young and we used a doll to absolutely creep you out at Grandma and Grandpa's.
Hey, I'm sorry. It was a Southern Belle Scarlett O'Hara looking doll, okay?
It was. You're right. You're right about that. But also, you ran out of the house crying.
Okay. Fair. Fair.
So, you're telling me now, as an adult, you would hold a seance for a doll?
Nah, I'd eat it.
There you go. I knew you were lying. I would yeet that bitch.
I would eat that fucking doll.
Absolutely. That's what these girls should have done.
They should have yeeted that fucking doll.
Just punted that bitch straight out the door.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen.
Okay. So anyway, they held a seance. Like, you know.
Like you do in the 70s.
Like you do in the 70s. And during this seance, the roomies were introduced to the spirit of Annabelle Higgins, who supposedly was a girl who had lived on the property before the apartments were built and died at the age of 7. Such a tender age. Supposedly, the spirit told the medium that she felt comfort with the two roommates and wanted to stay with them and be loved. Yeah. Now, in true white girl from the 70s fashion, because you fucking know this is true for white girls in the 70s.
Oh my god.
They gave the damn spirit to, like, permission to inhabit the doll. Yeah. And as we know, things just got worse from that point.
It got worse.
Things just got worse, sir. No, they're bad, they're horrible, they're awful. Ugh. And eventually, the Warrens took interest in the case and reached out to the women. Now, supposedly one of these girls was, like, Catholic and was talking to her priest about it, and he reached out to another priest who knew the Warrens, who reached out to the Warrens, and that's how they found out about the case.
Yeah.
They came to the quote-unquote immediate conclusion that the doll itself was not in fact possessed, but manipulated by an inhuman presence, and that truly the spirit was not looking to stay attached to the doll, it was looking to possess a human host.
As one does.
As one does, you know, true demon fashion from the 70s. I don't know if time goes the same way as it does in, you know, the real world as it does in hell or the demonic realm or whatever you want to call it.
I don't think it does.
I don't know. I mean, every movie that we've seen, and I'm like, oh, I'm basing all of my knowledge off of a fucking movie at this point. Even, like, stories. Okay, let's go with the stories that we've heard of people who have, like, something's happened and things of that nature. People in comas, they're all like, I was fighting for my life and I thought that I had been gone for only 2 days.
Did you just turn into Jennifer Coolidge?
I somehow did. Let's just pretend it's Jennifer Coolidge. She's going through this.
Okay.
It's the most horrible Jennifer Coolidge accent ever.
You look like the 4th of July. Makes me want to hot dog real bad.
It makes me want a hot dog real bad. Love her.
Love her. We're big fans, Jennifer.
But anyway, we assume that time moves a little bit differently in their realm.
Yeah.
Their plane of existence. Okay, let's just assume that, you know? Maybe this demon / inhuman spirit was all like, it's the 1830s and we have to raise all kinds of hell.
You're a woman and you're in school?
Oh, not in my day. I'm a prove a point. Women's rights? I spit on them. That's exactly what that inhuman entity was doing.
Oh my gosh, our ADHD is so kicking our butts right now. All right, let's go.
Okay. All right, let me find where I was. Okay. So, they said it's an inhuman entity looking for a human host. Apparently, Ed Warren told his wife that they should avoid the highway because it was going to be a rough ride home. And he was apparently right about that. They state that they had to pull over and sprinkle Annabelle with holy water to calm it down at one point.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. Now, you're probably wondering, why is this on the list? This doll is haunted, not cursed. But what happened after the Warrens, took possession of Annabelle and put it up in their museum is why I considered it more of a cursed doll at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a story about a young priest who discounted the doll's demonic abilities. And Ed warned the priest about mocking Annabelle's demonic power, but the priest laughed it off.
Oh, you never laugh at the haunted or cursed object.
Yeah, I mean, you play it safe. Play it safe, right? Now, on the way home, the priest was involved in a near-fatal crash that totaled his car. And the priest claimed to have seen Annabelle in his rearview mirror just before the accident.
Like, what was possessing Annabelle? Or not possessing, but what was controlling Annabelle? Or saw the visage of the doll?
I think it was a visage of the doll. I think that's what it was, a visage of the doll.
Okay.
Yeah.
How fucked up would it be to have a Raggedy Ann doll be the last thing you see
Oh my God,
before you fucking die?
All right, so years later, another visitor to the museum rapped on the glass of Annabelle's case and laughed at how silly people were to believe in her. On the way home, he reportedly lost control of his motorcycle and crashed headlong into a tree. He was killed instantly, and his girlfriend just barely survived.
Ooh.
She claimed at the time of the accident, the couple had been laughing about the doll. Yeah.
I mean, laugh about it out of its presence whenever it's not around. Like right now, we are kind of laughing and joking about it a little bit.
But neither of us have ever.
We haven't had an encounter. With it
we haven't seen Annabelle. That's Annabelle, and that's just a little bit of her history, or its history. I don't know what it would be.
Days history. I mean,
Who knows?
Who knows?
Keeping with the doll theme for today's Cursed Objects episode, we're going to discuss Robert the Doll.
Oh, yes. It's whenever you were talking about the museum thing, I was thinking of the episode of Ghost Adventures where Zach let people into his museum, and they did that one interview with a guy that owned Robert the Doll or whatever, and he was telling the stories. And okay, I'll let you do it.
Okay, well, I didn't talk about any of that. I just focused primarily on the doll. While there was a movie released titled Robert in 2015, I have actually never seen it.
I haven't seen that.
I didn't even know it existed. I kind of thought the movie The Boy was loosely based off of Robert.
I thought so too.
Yeah, because it's a doll.
And it ended up, spoiler alert, it ended up being the psychologically, mentally crazy son that was living in the walls controlling it.
Yeah, but I think the son was hidden away because he was disfigured or something.
I don't know. It's been years since I've seen it, but I liked it. It was weird.
It was a good movie, man. There was also apparently The Curse of Robert the Doll or something that was also released.
Mm-hmm.
But you can see more about that on robertthedoll.org.
Oh, I need to go on that website.
Yeah. Now, Robert the Doll is a life-sized fabric stuffed doll that is said to be haunted and is on display at the East Martello Museum in Key West, Florida.
Oh, yeah. I remember it being.
The doll itself was created around the turn of the 20th century by the Steiff Company in Germany. For nearly 70 years, he was the close companion of Jean Otto, who treated the doll like a real person. It is said that the young Jean would shift blame to the doll when he misbehaved as a child, stating, "I didn't do it, Robert did it."
Mm-hmm.
Following Jean Otto's death, Robert remained in the attic of the Otto home under the supervision of the new owners, William and Myrtle Reuter? R-E-U-T-E-R? Reuter?
That sounds about right.
Yeah. After a few years, Myrtle sold the house and moved to Von Fister Street. I think that's...
I'm sorry.
Fistler? It's like Phister. Fister. I think it's Fister.
All I heard was Fister, and I was like, oh. Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it. I don't. Von Fister Street. I don't know.
Okay.
Now, she took Robert the doll with her when she moved. It was in 1994 that she donated Robert to the Key West Art and Historical Society, claiming he moved around her house on his own and the doll itself was haunted. So.
Okay.
Now, the reason I'm saying that Robert the doll is cursed, not just haunted, is because supposedly after Robert was put on display, cameras and electronic devices malfunctioned in his presence, and soon letters addressed to the doll began to arrive offering apologies for disrespectful behavior or asking for Robert's forgiveness. Yeah.
Like, you have to ask permission to talk to him, and like, do you have in your notes like?
Hold on, let me read a couple. I'm
cool.
gonna read a couple of these letters. They started arriving daily, like to the museum, and a lot of these letters can be seen on robertthedoll.org. One states, "I wanted to apologize for taking a photo before I asked permission. I must not have heard the instructions correctly before I have photographed you. Since our meeting, I have suffered a series of heartbreaking misfortunes. Please forgive me." Ugh. Another letter states, "I am sorry that I was startled to see you and did not intend to disrespect you. Our lives have been upside down this year. Please forgive me during my visit."
How fucked up is it that you have to ask a doll for forgiveness?
Right? Because, like, there are so many of them. My husband and I visited the museum December of 2019. My husband took your picture without asking. When we were leaving the museum, I was going through the door. I felt a shock go through my shoulders. In January 2020, I was diagnosed with a severe illness and have not been well since. Things keep going wrong for me. I want to say we are sorry we took your picture without asking. Please forgive us.
So does he have to, I forgot, does he have to read those letters to the doll?
I think they do.
Or do they just like show him the letter and then plop it down or something?
I think they do read the letters to Robert. This one's, "Dear Robert, about 11 years ago, I visited you and made the worst mistake of my life. I thought it would be funny to take your picture without your permission. Boy, was I wrong. So much bad has happened in my life, and I know it's because I disrespected you, and I'm so sorry I did that I really hope you can forgive me, Robert. Sincerely, person's name. P.S. I saw you on Zach Bagan's show. You were great.
Now sucking up to it.
Yeah, you gotta suck up to Robert the doll. He's very petty or something, But yeah. So that's Robert the doll. And like some of these letters are old.
I mean, Robert the doll, it's not even a scary doll. It's one
he's a little creepy looking, like just because he's so old. At this point, the doll is very old.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen him, he is like a really sturdy looking doll. He's filled with like sawdust, pretty much.
Like,
because
yeah.
that was the material that they had back whenever they made this doll. It's like an old Victorian doll. He's wearing like a cute little sailor suit. Has like black round button eyes.
They've got him in his own little rocking chair, and they've got him a little companion dog doll.
Yes.
That sits in his lap. So
and then his face and some of his skin looks like it's been torn away. Not torn away, but like has
worn away.
Like worn away from years of being loved and touched on and
because
and stuff.
Again, like Gene Otto kept Robert his entire life.
Like, I know that the kid, he gave the doll the name Robert because Robert was Gene's original name.
Yep.
But that since the doll, quote unquote, wanted that name, he let the doll have his name and he changed his name to Gene so that there'd be no confusion.
Yeah. So because Robert the doll wanted that name Robert.
If somebody came up to me and says, I don't like your name, I'm going to take it and it's going to be mine now. I'm like, well, we can both be Jessica and you can fuck off.
I think that's a whole different thing. Okay? So anyway, back on Robert. He was very mischievous and stuff, supposedly, as Gene was growing up. But for the most part, it's you show Robert the doll respect, and you won't have a bad time. But that's all I've got. I only did 2 cursed objects today, and they are 2 cursed dolls.
What kind of cursed objects do you guys think that we should do? Like, if you have any suggestions, let us know. We want your emails. We want your comments. We want your thoughts. We would love to talk to you. Please talk to us. We are lonely people.
We are lonely people. You're right about that.
We are in our mid-30s and we don't make friends that well.
Don't have nobody.
Nope, stop. I'm going to be singing that song later now. Anyway.
Yeah, I hope I got a second.
So, Jen, are you going to let this one rest?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm going to let this one rest, and hopefully we didn't incur Annabelle or Robert's wrath over the many miles of distance.
Please don't kill us.
I doubt that they would kill us. I think that they would just make her fall. I don't know. Annabelle does have a few deaths to her name.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So, are cursed objects real? If so, which ones do you believe are cursed? Let us know.
But until next time, bye.
Bye.
If you like what you heard, please feel free to follow, like, rate, and review Tales from the Graves podcast on your preferred listening platform. We also would like to know what you think and what topic you suggest we unearth next. Email us at talesfromthegravespod@gmail.com or reach out to us at Tales from the Graves podcast on Instagram. And if you have Discord, join us in the graveyard. The link is in our bio on our Instagram as well as this listening platform. Thanks again, grave diggers.
I'm hackety whackety smacky.